we are moving to the next week, that is 5th week, lecture 21. Remember, in the last week we talked about how we are going to evaluate performance using different approaches, models, and we discussed different methods and approaches, and what are the different kind of tools that is used for evaluating performance. In the process, we also discuss who is going to evaluate performance, like we talked about self appraisal, we also talked about how team is evaluated, and then we also talked about 360-degree appraisal. In 360-degree appraisal, you see that we have a number of stakeholders or raters. So, that is why it is known as multi-rater system. So, we talked about different kind of methodologies, frameworks of measurement of evaluation. Now, basically the idea is that when you are going to measure what is your objective, whether you are going to use it for the development of the employees or whether you are going to use for taking certain administrative decisions. In business, you will find that these performance records are used for both the purposes. It is used for development purposes as well as for administrative purposes. You also remember that we talked about that yes, it is very important to set the developmental goals also for every performance cycle, right. So, to start with, in this lecture what we are going to discuss is that how performance management could be linked with or is going to see that employee development happens, and that is why we are trying to see that employee development becomes a part of the performance management system, right. So, with this we are going to discuss that how employee development happens in case of performance management. Now, when we are talking about employee development, what does it mean? It means that employees are going to have certain learning experiences on the job, off the job, and these development experiences help them to grow and develop, right, and also perform their job very well. So, when I am talking about any kind of development experiences that is planned for the employees either during the job or off the job, the basic objective is to see his growth and development in terms of person and profession, see that his learning experiences goes up, and also ensure that he is going to improve his performance. At the same time, he professionally develops in terms of his career and promotion. Now, with this objective we move further and discuss about the employee development plan. Okay. Now, who are the stakeholders in the development plan? Because if any development plan is considered, actually both the employees and managers both are responsible, right. So, when you are going to develop an employee development plan for an individual, it has to be done in consultation with the managers, immediate supervisors, right, since they are involved in guiding the employees for their growth and development. So, they should be a part of that. Similarly, employees should also be responsible, because ultimately they have to see that how they are going to improve and develop themselves. So, it is a kind of a joint activity where both employees and managers are going to work it out, that what kind of development plan is going to be there and what kind of processes would be adopted for this kind of development plan, right. So, if you look at employees, he is going to see that what kind of development path he is going to choose, what kind of learning experiences he wants to have, which is to be linked with the performance, because any kind of development experience that is going to be there, management need to be involved, because they are going to support the process, right. Then managers also need to ensure that how employees are going to develop, right, since they are responsible for their growth and development, right. So, the managers and employees both work it out that okay, this is the development plan, we will talk about that how it happens, and then they are going to see that how employees are going to develop themselves personally and professionally, and how this kind of development leads to better or improved performance. So, the objective is that you are going to link this development plan with the performance of the employees, right. Now, another important thing that you are not going to have this kind of development plan for only few people, but all the jobs has to be included in this development plan, starting with the entry level to the highest level, right, because the development plan for every job is important, because you have to see that every job has certain things, or you have to see that there is a better fit between the individual or the man and the job, and similarly this is going to fulfill the requirement of the organization and also the performance of the individual, right. So, we need to ensure that you are going to create this kind of development plan for all the jobs, starting from the low level to the higher level. Now, when we are talking about the personal development plans, okay, so we have to decide what are the various kind of activities that you are going to perform as a part of the personal development plan, right. So, when we develop our plan for our personal and professional growth, so the idea is that you need to update your knowledge and skill base in the field of the profession which you are working, right. Because if you are not able to update your knowledge and skill in the field, probably your development plan is not good, because it is not going to be effective, right. So, you also need to see that whether you are ready for it or not, in terms of whether you possess those strengths which is required for the development. Since development plan is related to your those areas where you are not doing very well, right, are those areas which need improvement. So, it is very, very important to have a development plan, so that you are able to see that those areas which needs improvement is developed, right. And development plan is nothing else, but it is a kind of action plan in the area of weaknesses, okay, and then develop your strength also further. So, it is something like this. So, when we are going to have a development plan, right, for an individual, right, it has to be related to a performance cycle, where you are going to identify the period in which this development plan is going to happen, right. This development plan, as I told you, is a joint activities where the manager and the employee both participate. Okay. Now, as a part of the development plan, they decide about certain things or the activities that they are going to take up. So, they have an action plan, right, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you should not have so many action plans, but only few which you can really achieve in a given time frame, that is very, very important. Now, the major question here is that when you are talking about this development plan, how do you know that what are the areas where you are going to develop yourself, and this comes from what you call performance evaluation, performance appraisal, or what you call performance evaluation. So, performance evaluation provides you a data about two things, that is about your strength and your weaknesses, right, in a given cycle, right. So, development plan is linked with your performance appraisal, because based on your performance appraisal, both the manager and your your employee both sit together across the table, discuss about what are the areas of improvement that need to be looked into and what are your strengths. And then based on these weaknesses and strength, so you focus more on what you call weaknesses. These are the areas that need improvement. Say for example, your communications is not very, very effective. Okay, so, communication is one area that you have identified which needs to be developed, right. For example, there is another area which has been identified, that you are not able to solve a problem on your own. Every time you move to the manager if there is any problem in your department, right, or related to your job. So, these are the two areas that you have identified which needs improvement. So, you are not able to effectively communicate whatever is there, and then you are not able to solve your problems related to with your job. Now, once you have identified those two areas, so you need to develop your action plan. This action plan is going to be in terms of certain learning experiences, right. So, manager in consultation with you is going to decide about what kind of learning experiences is going to be there. It could be in terms of training, it could be in terms of coaching or mentoring, right. or counseling. Suppose there is a motivation problem, right, and the problem I am writing here. Number 2. So, if there is a motivation problem, then you require counseling. So, it is to be decided depending upon what kind of intervention is to be there, and whether it is related to behavior or the individual who needs improvement, or it could be related to the job also. So, these learning experiences could be related to what you call technical areas or the functional areas, or it could be related to behavioral areas. Right. So, the competencies could be related to either functional areas or behavioral areas. So, for behavioral areas, you are going for coaching, mentoring, counseling, or even training also that could be given. For example, you could be sent to a training program where you are told that okay, or in for communication also you could be sent to a training program or a coaching session, right, where you can improve your coaching. So, these development plans are linked with your performance depending upon what your strengths and weaknesses are, and once your need areas for improvement are identified, okay, then the manager along with you sits across the table and decides about the action plan. So, this action plan is very important, right, and as a part of the action plan he is going to identify what kind of learning experiences would be required, and accordingly you are given these learning experiences within a given time frame, and then he is going to monitor whether you are able to improve on these areas or not. In addition to these weaknesses, okay, you are also trained or further improve your areas of strength. So, suppose you have been identified that okay, so far as analysis of certain things is concerned, you are very good. So, this could be your strength, your analytical ability is very good, right. So, and which would be further required for your job. So, you could be asked to go some kind of training program or some kind of learning experiences which could be related to your analytical ability, so that you can further improve it. So, what I wanted to convey here is that when you are going to develop your personal development plan, okay, you have to see that within a given performance cycle, it is linked with your performance reports. Based on the strength and weaknesses, you identify what are the areas that you need to improve or you want to further strengthen. Then with the help of manager, you are going to develop an action plan, and this action plan leads to certain learning experiences by the employees, and once you go through these learning experiences, later on you are going to see whether there is a significant improvement or not. If there is a significant improvement against the goals and objectives that has been set across these areas, then you can say that yes, this personal development plan have been successful. So, you have to identify the course of action to improve your performance and see that whether you have been able to achieve those goals against the development plan, right. And that is possible only when you are trying to update your knowledge and skill base, and you are also developing those competencies, especially behavioral competencies, which is required in the area of your profession, right. So, the idea here is that this development plan is going to help you to identify what are your strengths and weaknesses, and accordingly you develop an action plan to improve them, and if that happens, probably you would be most happy and satisfied with the kind of performance management system it has, because your performance management system takes care of your growth and development also, right. Now, if you look further, when you are going to develop this development plan, what are the processes that is to be adopted for development, right. So, how you develop the action plan, right. So, basically the idea here is see that whatever you are doing, whatever job you are having, you need to continuously grow and develop yourself, right, in any job, because what happens with the time, the context and the environment, the nature of the job changes, right. And what may happen tomorrow, that whatever job you are doing, you become obsolete. There is a term which is known as professional obsolescence. So, this professional obsolescence is very important to be understood by you, because if you become obsolete and outdated, so far your knowledge and skill is concerned, then what will happen? You will not be able to perform your job well. So, irrespective of the kind of job you are doing. So, the technology is changing, the environment is changing. So, the conditions of the environment which is changing. So, if you are not able to cope up with the change and the challenges of the change, probably you will not be able to grow personally and professionally, right. So, for that you have to see that what are the things that you need to do in order to grow and develop yourself, right. So, you need to identify what are the areas where you need to develop yourself, right. For example, most of the students who get into a job in the IT sector with the basic skills, they are trained. Okay. So, they become program manager, systems manager, system analyst, these kind of jobs. But they also need to grow and develop themselves in those latest areas of technology, which could be the future of the IT. For example, they need to grow themselves in the area of machine learning, they have to learn things related to artificial intelligence, because this is the future for these guys. So, they have to understand that what are the areas, what are the things that they need to understand and learn in order to survive and grow in the future, right. And if they are not going to learn continuously and grow, probably they would not be fit and they become professionally obsolete. So, it is very important to continuously grow and develop yourself, identify those areas which are relevant for you, and then identify what needs to be done, right. Because if you are not able to do it, then you are going to face problems in the job. So, if you are competent enough in both the technical as well as non-technical skills, then you are not going to face any kind of problem, right. So, it is very important that when you are going to design your development plan, you see what are the areas where you need to improve yourself, right. Say, I am taking one example for a IT job, right. At the entry level job, basically the kind of thing that you do is coding, programming, right, but this is not your future, okay, or analysis, testing, right. These are the kind of job that you do to start with, okay, with basic knowledge of what you call C or C++ or Java, whatever you have. As you move ahead, then you also try to learn R, Python. These are the new things that is coming up. So, you need to identify what are the new languages that you learn, programming languages that you learn, or something else, right. Say cloud computing. These are the new things that is coming up in the field of technology, or you are going to learn IoT, that is Internet of Things. So, you move from this to this, right. So, the idea here is that if you really want to survive and grow, then you need to continuously update your knowledge and skill base in the field in which you are working. So, you need to identify what are the areas where you need to improve. Then again continuously you have to see that you are going to work with artificial intelligence, machine learning. So, these are the new things that you have to develop, and then again there could be a question mark, what next. So, with the development of technology, you need to keep abreast yourself with what is happening in the field, and accordingly you are going to develop your professional development plans. So, you are good at it, now you need to train yourself in this area, then again you are going to train and develop in that area. So, what I am trying to tell you here is that you need to continuously upgrade your knowledge and skill base in order to survive, so that you do not face any problem in the job, right. So, when you are going to design a development plan, see that what are the areas or those dimensions of the performance which need improvement, not only improvement, but what are the new areas where you need to develop yourself. So, that could also be a part of what you call your personal development plans. Now, moving further, the objective of this development plan is what? Okay. As I told you, it helps you to encourage yourself to continuously learn, and if you are going to continuously learn, what happens? You become relevant in the job market, you are whatever you are doing, you are going to perform it very well, and it also helps your personal and professional growth, right. So, now if you look at some of the specific objectives of this development plan is that you are able to improve your performance on the current job, not only improve, but also sustain that improved performance in your current job. But at the same time you also prepare yourself for the future, For example, whenever there is advancement in technology, so with simple coding languages or programming languages, you are not going to survive in the market in the long run, because the need of the companies are changing. So, they are moving over to more and more automations. So, that is why they require say artificial intelligence or machine learning, these kind of things. So, the objective is that you not only survive in your current job and grow, but also see that what is the future that you have for yourself, right. So, you need to prepare yourself for advancement, and in the process you also enrich your experiences through these learning interventions, right. So, these are the objectives of a development plan. Now, look at it. What I have done here is I have given example of a university development plan for employees in performance management system. Now, if this is meant for the faculty, right. The idea here is that you get feedback, especially to improve or maintain your job performance, right. So, what you need to do, you have to identify those areas where you want to grow and develop yourself, right. At the same time, you are also going to see that what would be your performance standards for the next cycle, right, and see that what are your accomplishments, okay, on the job in terms of performance, and whether you have been able to communicate effectively, you had a good relationship with your peers, students, seniors, head of the departments, university officials, right. And what was your deficiency, what are the things that you could not do properly, right. It means those areas where you have not been able to meet the expectations in terms of performance standards, right. Then whatever happens as a part of a development plan, you are going to report it to the next level of supervisory responsibility. You tell them, okay, these are the things that you have done and these are the things that you have not been able to do, right. So, when you are going to develop a plan based on this, this is the exercise that you are going to carry out, right. And this exercise basically relates to your professional development activities, right. And you identify what are the professional development activities that you want to carry on, right. Then what are the resources that you require and how much time you require. Let us take an example. In case of say faculty, right, you have a faculty development program, a plan. Okay. So, you have identified one area, suppose you are very good in teaching, but one area that you have identified, that is related to say research publications, right. Now, in order to once you have identified your development plan that okay, research publication is one area, okay, where you have not been able to do very well, because if you have not been able to meet the targets in terms of the number of publications or publications in the quality journal. Now, in order to complete this, what you need is what are the resources that you require. Resources in terms of what you can say equipments, technology, library support, right, softwares. Okay. So, there could be number of resources which you require for this kind of thing. Okay. And then you also identify that in order to achieve this objective, suppose you say that okay, you want to publish at least 2 articles as a part of research in a good quality journal, then you are also identify the time frame, because time frame is going to tell you whether you have been able to achieve it within a given time frame or not, right. So, library support, softwares, technology and equipment, whatever is required, this must be made available by the manager to the individual or the administrators of the university to the faculty, which is going to facilitate good research work, right, from the faculty within a given time frame. So, that he is able to see that whether he is able to meet this target or not, right. So, what exactly I wanted to tell you that yes, you identify what is your professional development plan, what kind of resources would be required and what is that time frame. So, you identify each areas where you need to improve, right. not only those areas where you need to improve, but also those areas where you further want to advance yourself, right. Suppose you know that you are very good in programming language. Okay. So, you want to further your knowledge in this area, and then you go for doing a course in say machine learning. Okay. So, you can opt a course for machine learning or internet of things, that would help you to further advance your knowledge in the area where you are already competent enough, right. So, that is going to supplement your knowledge to improve your performance further, right. And then you see what are the resources, what are the courses that is available, from where you can do it, how much money it is required, whether your management is willing to spare that much money and time for you, okay. And then see within the time frame whether you are able to complete it or not, right. So, you need to identify what are the areas where you need to develop, right, and then be very specific what are the activities that you want and what kind of support you require within a given time frame, right. Sometimes you need to set your goals in such a way which could be stretched further, right. What I mean to say is that sometimes you are not able to complete your goals, right, or sometimes you do not have time to achieve those goals, that is one thing. But sometimes you set your goals in such a way, so that you are able to achieve it much before the time frame, and then you want to further stretch it out. It means that you want to have more challenging goals, you want to have increased goals. Okay. I want to extend the targets or the performance standards that you have, okay, and then you will be able to perform much better. So, if you have stretched goals, what happens that you will have more commitment, probably you will focus on it, you perform only those activities which is important, right. Suppose you want to say that instead of publishing 2 papers, you want to publish 3 papers, then instead of doing other things, you will try to focus more on your research activities to ensure that you are able to do these things, because it is more challenging to publish 3 papers than 2 papers. So, you need more commitment, more motivation on your part, more effort on your part, right. And then you have to see that you are consistently doing it, because persistence is very much required. Since you have time frames, so you need to ensure that you consistently make effort to ensure that you are able to achieve those stretched goals. So, you are moving from 2 to 3, it means that you stretch your goals, which requires more motivation, time, energy and resources. So, persistence is also required, so that you do not lose those deadlines and you are able to complete the job within a given time frame, right. So, moving further, what does it include? We are going to develop have a development plan. What does it include basically, right. So, as I discussed earlier also, that it has a description of very specific actions that you are going to take, and what are the specific objectives that you want to meet, right. And similarly, what are the new knowledge and skill that you want to acquire, and how are you going to take it up, and what kind of resources and information would be required, what would be your strategy to achieve those goals and objectives, right. In what way your supervisor is going to facilitate this process, right, and whether it could be linked with the standard or not, right, and how this could be linked with the requirement, the needs and expectations of both the organization and the management and also the supervisor. So, when you are going to have a development plan and organization is going to provide us, the supervisor is going to provide the resources and support, they also want to see that these development plan is linked with not only the performance standards that have been set for you, but it also contributes to the goals and objectives of the organization, and accordingly you are going to set the development plan, right. So, I am taking the same example where I am trying to see that how we can develop the content plan for an employees, right. So, you have to see that what are the websites or resources which are going to help you to identify your development activities. For example, attending workshops, conferences, on the job training or other activities, right. So, you have to identify what are the activities that you are going to take up as a part of your professional development activities, right. Whether you are going to write research paper, whether you take funding projects, whether you are going to for taking certain courses or want to attend conferences, national and international conferences, right. So, there could be different kind of activities that you can plan for your development, right, and see whether for attending these things or taking up these activities, whether you are having enough resources or not, and who is going to provide these resources and support, whether top management or the institution where you are working is going to provide these resources or support system for you or not, right. And it would be good if you are able to identify your objectives, development objectives, what are the activities, and then if you present it to the management, probably management would be convinced, okay, this is your development plan, that is good, and how it is going to improve your performance, not only your performance, but also help organization to improve your performance. Say for example, when you say that you are going to take up a research activity, funding activities, definitely it is going to improve your performance, but in the process organization is also going to benefit, okay, because it helps you the organization to improve its ranking, brand recognition, right, generating more revenues for the organization which could be used by the organization. So, both you have to keep in mind the requirement of the individual as well as organization both when you are going to develop these kind of development plans, right, and how are you going to do it. See, so development activities on the part of university faculty include on the job learning, teaching, attending courses, self guided reading, how many books you read, mentoring students, right, attending conferences, getting a degree in addition to what you have, like doing certain certificate courses, doing different kind of jobs, not only teaching, but other taking other kind of responsibilities, temporary assignments like funding, research, consulting, right, and then becoming a member of professional organizations depending upon the field you are, right. For example, if you are in business, then you become member of say Confederation of Indian Industries, ISOCOM, these kind of things. Suppose you are a member of you are a faculty in the area of management, then you become the member of say American Management Association, Indian Management Association, right, which basically organize these kind of development activities or professional activities for its member for their professional and for personal and professional development, right. Now, how it is going to be made successful? So, you must have a plan, everybody has a plan, right. Make sure that it is going to be on ongoing basis, continuously you try to develop and grow yourself, right. Make sure that management is involved in accomplishment and also monitoring the progress of the employees, right. There is a support and commitment from the management to help them to grow and develop in their careers, right, and it is a part of the performance management system, right. So, employee development must be a part of the performance management system, and then managers must be evaluated depending upon how much development has happened, right. So, that you know whether your development plan is successful or not. So, if these things are met, probably you will be able to see that it is done. Then what is the role of the supervisor, right. Supervisor is going to tell what are the things that you need to do. So, they are going to tell you what is necessary in terms of your knowledge and skill which is required to perform your job effectively, right. And he can also assist you to identify what could be the appropriate development activity, whether you should go for what kind of learning experiences you require in terms of coaching, training, these kind of things, right. And then he is going to review your performance and then make further suggestions. Okay, this is not good, this you have not done. So, you go and change your development objectives, and now you need to do these kind of activities. And then based on that, he is going to monitor the progress related to the development plan and see that he is able to do it, and he is also supposed to motivate the employees to ensure that employee is able to develop and grow himself, right. So, supervisor has a very important role to play. Thank you very much.